New numbers, new area codes, new winters and new summers. More expansion, just think about it and make me wonder. Knocking on the beat like a relapse, I feel it coming.
Alright.
Regular
First of all,
programming, no
welcome.
schedule with the
Thank you for being here.
Of
course.
I know you're a little nervous, but it's good. I'm nervous too.
Jitters.
Just shake them out, yeah. So I guess we'll just kind of jump right into it because we're going to talk about everything anyways.
Okay.
So go ahead and introduce yourself to the people for those who don't already know who you are.
Okay, well, my name is Shaquan, a.k.a. Big Quan, from the QuaniTEA Radio podcast. I am podcast host. I am a mother. I am everything in a ball of joy.
Absolutely. Okay, so again, we appreciate you being here. Where did you grow up? Let's talk about your background a little bit and talk about who you are before the microphone, before the podcast. So where did you grow up and what was your childhood like?
Oh, okay. So I grew up in Eastside Stockton.
Okay.
I grew up Eastside Stockton. I moved around quite a bit, though, within Stockton. I never lived outside of Stockton.
Understood.
So grew up out east, granny house. Then I moved around a lot, moved from the north side to the west side, back to the east side, moved schools a lot. So I have quite a few memories from every little piece of my life.
Absolutely.
Just grew up with my mom, going to church. I was a church girl, going to church. I'm talking about choir rehearsal, Bible study, Sunday school, family night, the whole nine.
So really Stockton homegrown.
Yes, Stockton homegrown for sure. That was me growing up and just being me and my mom, and then I have a little sister, and then I have an older brother as well. So.
Okay. And what would you say your household was like? Did you have was it an entrepreneur household? Was it more creative, a traditional household? I think maybe with the church and the whole night being on nights, you'd say more traditional, I'm assuming?
Traditional, definitely traditional and very strict as well too. Going to church and having all those rules, and make sure you dress like this and you behave like this, and it really structured me too to conduct myself as a young lady very, very early. So that's where I learned that from in church, and even to this day, I'm like, when I sit a certain way, I make sure my dress is pulled this way or this is up like this, and so I would say very traditional household.
Okay, and so tell us, who was Shaquan before QuaniTEA Radio?
Okay, y'all ready? So before QuaniTEA Radio, we're taking it back to childhood. I was very outspoken, very super, super outspoken. If I seen something, I'm going to say it. If I had a question about something, I'm going to ask it, to where my mom was like, don't say that. Don't. What are you doing?
Those kids.
I was one of those kids. No filter at all.
Okay,
and so that was me just growing up. I was very creative, and I used to be mad in school because I would see people draw and have all these talents, and I'm like, well, I don't know how to draw. I don't know how to do nothing like that. But my creativity was writing poetry at the time.
Oh, nice.
So I used to write poetry, and at one point in time, I thought I was a rapper. My name was Shay Money.
Shay Money.
My name was Shay Money. I used to write in my notebook.
You got YouTube videos and stuff like that, or
no, I do not.
Online.
No. This was I want to say middle school, and I was writing raps and stuff. And of course, Shay Money and the S and Shay Money was a $sign. You know what I mean? So I was doing all those things and just rapping and hanging out with friends and doing, just doing me. So that part of my life, I did that. I didn't really play sports or nothing like that. I wasn't athletic or anything like that, but mine was just simply wanting to watch the talk show hosts, and I was very enthused with that.
Gotcha.
So I was.
And is that what you saw yourself being when you were younger already?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, definitely. I'm
just somewhere in the spotlight, or specifically with the talk show type of thing?
Talk show.
Okay.
Definitely talk show. I used to watch, I'm talking about Ricky Lake. I used to watch, what's the ball head dude? Montel
Williams, Montel Jordan.
Montel Williams.
One of the Montel.
I think Montel Jordan's a singer.
Hey, listen, you know what? We're gonna scratch that for the record.
Right. So I was influenced by that, and I used to watch Entertainment Tonight and watch them interview celebrities on the red carpet and things like that. So I was like, oh, I want to do that. I'm singing and dancing. I just wanted to be in entertainment.
Absolutely.
In general, yeah.
Okay. So was there a defining moment that kind of shaped how you see yourself today in this light? Was there a moment at that time when you were younger where, a specific moment, I should say, that where you're just that's what I want to do?
Yeah, just me watching those talk shows and like, okay, I like how they dive into people's real life. Gotcha. You see them, you want to know the celebrity, you want to know this person behind what they do. Yeah. We want to know, you know, how did you grow up? You know, what did you like to do? And how did you get past this traumatic experience? Oh, we never knew this about you. I wanted to dig deep into that. And I'm like, I love that to really have that, some type of intimate conversation with someone.
That makes sense. Okay. So I know that you are already like outspoken. If you see something, you're going to say something. But as far as speaking publicly, was that something you were already comfortable with, like in a crowd or in camera setting, or did that kind of develop over time?
That definitely developed over time. Yeah. Like, I do not like it. Like, I do not. Like, I'm still getting used to it to this day. Like, I have to get warmed up. It's like, oh, my God, like, what am I going to say? I hope my words come out right or I don't, you know, fumble and stumble over my words. So I definitely had to, like, practice and still practicing.
Okay, so would you say you kind of struggled a little bit with this confidence or self-doubt early on when it came to just you jumping into the podcast game?
I would say with the confidence, for sure. I wasn't that confident within myself in some moments, in some aspects. Like, okay, am I going to be good at doing this? Right. So I did have a little bit of second guessing when it came to me and how I would perform doing certain things. But all that is self-inflicted. It's like, okay, well, why do I feel like this? Or, you know what, I can do this. It's all in my head because other people are not looking at me like that. They're like, okay, you're doing a good job. And I'm just like, well, no, it didn't sound like this. And everything had to be perfect. So I figured that I struggle with that perfectionist syndrome. Like, I need to have it like this. I'm not going to start this until it's all the way done. And I kind of had to like let go of that and let people see the imperfections and just see the real. So,
absolutely. You are your biggest critic. And that's one thing that I've learned with the game myself is I see things from a different perspective than the outside eye. And so just getting used to that was kind of difficult. So I definitely resonate with what you said. So speaking of getting started with your podcast, what made you start your podcast, like specifically QuaniTEA Radio, when you kicked off? What was the driving force?
Man, it was like 2019. I think we was going through COVID and stuff at the time too. I was working. I was kind of stressed out. I was just going through a lot. It might have been postpartum too, because I had just had my son like a year, two years before that. Okay. So I just was going through like a stressful state and didn't really have an outlet. And I noticed that anger was starting to take over. Gotcha. And I was angry and I just would lash out and flash on people or flash at situations that didn't even deem necessary for that, you know? And so one moment I had, you know, was at a gas station and I was like, it was something going on with the pump. I remember this. And, I was coming back into the gas station and I was telling the lady, I was like, you know, the gas is not pumping. And she's like trying to explain to me what's going on. And I was getting so mad and overheated to where I just was like, I started yelling like, what do you mean? Like, turn it back on. I got to go to work. I was working at Tesla at the time. I'm driving all the way to Fremont, you know? And I realized that moment, like specifically it clicked in my head to where I'm like, why are you so mad? What's wrong? Like, that was in my head to like, it wasn't okay for me anymore. Gotcha. That type of temperament was just not okay. And so I said, you know what? Like, I need to work on myself. I need to go on a healing journey. I need to figure out and get to the root and get to the core of things. And I was ready to just be peaceful. I was tired of being angry and stressed out and mad all the time because that's not me. Gotcha. Like, I'm a cool individual. I'm cool, like very funny, outgoing to myself. And for me to be acting like that, it wasn't okay. And I never would want to demonstrate that to my son. Absolutely. You know, I don't want him to see his mom like that. So I said, you know what, let me dial it all the way back. And you know what, I need to create an outlet. If I didn't have an outlet, I created it for myself. And so it was basically like a personal diary for me at the time when I started, and just speaking to the mic, nobody around. I was only doing audio, so I was just talking and letting out my feelings. And so that was really therapeutic for me. It helped me. It got me through a lot of everything that I was going through, all my thoughts. I had to just let it out. Yeah. And, you know, if it resonated with somebody, cool. If not, I still got that release for myself. So
that is dope. Yeah. I really like that. I really enjoy it because there's depth behind it. It wasn't just like a get rich quick scheme. It wasn't anything like that. There's actual substance behind the reason that you got started with your podcast. Yeah. So I love that for you. That's dope. So Tell us why the name QuaniTEA. And what does the T represent to you?
The T, okay, so QuaniTEA, we start with QuaniTEA, my name is Shaquan.
Okay.
So the Quan part came from me, of course. This is my platform. The T is just whatever I feel like telling you guys today. I know T can sometimes be deemed as gossip or being messy. Like, what's the T, girl? What's the T? But the T is what I decide to let you in on. Things that you don't know about me, you're going to know. So I'm like, you know what? QuaniTEA, right? And I love tea, by the way. I love to drink tea. Okay. I'm a tea drinker. I don't drink coffee. Tea is my go-to. So it just all fit and ran together, and it was kind of like the word play on my name and things like that. So QuaniTEA Radio, and then I've always wanted to be on radio.
Gotcha.
That's another thing to let you guys in on. I always wanted to be on radio. I always used to listen to the local radio growing up and trying to win tickets and doing things. I'm like, I'm going to create my own radio station, so to say. So that's where the name came from.
I like it. I like how everything kind of comes cohesively together.
Yeah.
That's dope. Okay, so what were your biggest obstacles, I would say, when you started, if any?
Obstacles, just me trying to be vulnerable. Because I'm like, oh, what if somebody does hear this and they're like, oh, they judge me off of it. Yeah. I'm thinking what other people are going to think and not just doing it for me, Yeah. So I was doing it for me, but I'm also thinking like, what if somebody hear it and they're like, oh, well, she did that or she feels like that and judging me off of that, but not knowing that people are going to relate to it more than judge me off of it. So that was kind of an obstacle for me. Everything else pretty much flowed for me. I was determined to do it. So I'm researching like, how do I start my podcast? What platforms do I need to be on? What's the RSS feed? How do I get it distributed? And I'm like writing everything down, researching, listening to different people. I never listened to a podcast a day in my life.
Really?
Before I started mine. And even then, I still didn't listen because I was like, okay, I don't want to get influenced by other people.
Okay,
I want to do my own thing. So, I was determined. So that I think that was the only obstacle was just facing like judgment or thinking I would face judgment from other people from what I released.
So did you ever feel like kind of overwhelmed with the process of learning everything or doing the research that you were doing?
No, actually, I didn't because I love to learn. Like, I don't care if it's about anything in the world. Like, I love to learn. I'm very curious. So that helped, too, with me wanting to do this podcast because I'm like, okay, once I started interviewing people later on down the line, I'm like, oh, okay, like, I didn't know that about you. Like, I like to learn new things. So me researching, even in school, like, back to high school, middle school, like, researching stuff for papers, like, I liked doing that. I'm on Google, and I'm writing things down so I can put them in my essays and write paragraphs and things like that. So I like doing research.
Nice.
So everything flowed for me.
At any point during the research or the launching process, like, did you have any doubt in yourself, or do you feel like anybody around you in your close circle, friends or family, like, had doubt with what you were getting into?
I don't think I had doubt. I didn't feel like my family would kind of like understand. I feel like they would understand, but again, the judgment, like, oh, okay, because I don't have, I would say I don't really have close relationship with my family. Of course, like my mom and, close family that I grew up with in the household with, of course, but cousins, aunties, uncles, and things like that, they would be getting to know that information in real time with everybody else.
Gotcha.
So that was like the thing for me, like, okay, my uncle, my papa gonna listen to this, or, what he gonna say about this? What are they gonna think about this? So that was the only thing really for me.
Okay. And so when you did get started and you were like in your first few audio episodes, what did those first few episodes teach you about, whether it's the industry, about yourself? What did you gain from it?
That I need to work on myself for one. I'm like, oh, dang, like this is really how I feel. Like this is a real therapy session with just me talking to me. You really have those real therapy sessions with yourself. Like absolutely. I talk to myself. I don't know about anybody else, but I do talk to myself. I don't answer back, but I do talk to myself.
Hey, I was going to say, everybody I think talks to themselves whether they admit it or not.
Yeah.
Talking back is a little different.
Different. I have to get a diagnosis. But so just realizing that I needed to like release those things and I needed to work on myself, dang, like I really need to work on myself, and just really diving into it and knowing like the ins and outs of podcasting, as far as when it comes to like releasing audio, and then releasing visuals, learning about that. I think that was a little bit more nerve-wracking than the audio, because I felt like with the audio, like I can sit in my pajamas. I can sit at the table, be comfortable, and not worry about nobody looking at me, no camera, no lights. And I'm just chilling,
just
you know?
in your element.
Yeah, I'm in my element because it's just me. I'm an introvert. I'm selective extrovert, but I'm really like an introvert for real. Unless you really know me, then, you know, you get the outgoing side of me. But that was my thing. I was in the comfort of my space, and, you know, and then, you know, once I got to the visual, I was like, they looking at me like, what are they gonna think? So, but those first few episodes definitely taught me that I needed some room to grow. I needed to release those things. And I feel like once you hear things out loud, it's different. Yeah. You can think everything in your mind like, oh yeah, I struggle with this, or I need to work on this. But once you say it out loud, it's out there.
Vocalize,
you know,
changes it.
Yeah, so it's like it forces you to work on those things.
Absolutely.
Now that you put it out there.
Absolutely. So a minute ago, I know you just said that, you know, once you got to the visual aspect, it was a little bit different because now people have eyes on you. Speaking of your visual, this is why it's a full circle moment, because I shot your first visual podcast and another one of your episodes later down the road. What made you decide to take it from audio to visual?
I feel like it was just with the times, like, okay, you're doing audio, but people want to see. Absolutely. So that's something I learned with doing the research and things like that. So I'm like, okay, man, like, you know, I'm following David Shands at the time, and he was like my podcast mentor. And he has his podcast going. I was attending his seminars online and things. Okay. And so he was just like, man, you got to create this visual.
Absolutely. And
I'm just like, man, like, I don't want to do it. But, you know, and it's crazy because I'll take a selfie quick. I'm on the internet like this. Yeah. But when it comes to like somebody else doing it, I'm like, hey, like this is a lot. But I realized I had to step outside my comfort zone.
Absolutely.
I get comfortable a lot. Like if I'm comfortable with something, we in it. That's what we doing. But once I step out of that, it's like, it's scary. Absolutely. You know? So, you know, just letting everybody see me and see my mannerisms and how I act and things like that. It was a little nerve-wracking. So I really decided to step out because that was what the times were. And you know, that's what I had to do.
Okay, so once you saw that first episode and you saw yourself on camera, like, did it change your perspective? How did it change your perspective? What was your thought process after seeing that episode? Was it kind of the same as far as what you just described, or a little bit different? I
mean, so you shot it looked good. Yeah. I was like, this look good. Absolutely. Like, I look good. I look good, you know what I'm saying? So, and I thank you for that. I want to, you know, say that. Like, I really thank you for that and really being a part of that moment of my life, because I was nervous as hell, and you made the process easy and comfortable as possible. So I thank you for that.
I think that was a dope podcast. I think especially being in the barbershop and just the whole setup and Shavario, right?
Shamario.
Shamario. Yeah. He had a dope vibe, and he was, you know, real bought into it. And I just think that you naturally jumped into it. And so, like, it's even now, it's still a shock that was your first visual, podcast. So I think that even if you may felt uncomfortable or a little bit nerve wracking, I think you really caught your flow really fast and kind of hit the ground running with that. So
thank you.
I think that was pretty dope.
Yeah, that was a good start for me. And once I seen it back, I'm like, oh, this looks good. And you know what? I'm gonna keep doing it, because I was like, okay, this is gonna be a tester and see if I like it. Again, I was nervous, but once I seen it and like you said, I started flowing, I was like,
that's where I'm at.
I can do this. This is where I'm at. That's where I'm at.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So since then, how has your confidence evolved? How has it changed from that first visual podcast?
I'm like, man, this is what I'm doing. This is my shit now. Like,
absolutely.
I had to grab the reins. I can't let it hold me. I got to hold it. So, you know, once I did that first one and I kept going, of course, I'm always nervous at the beginning, but I feel like once I'm like 5-10 minutes into the episode, I'm flowing. Like, you know, I get to, you know, really show my hosting skills and my interview skills and things like that. So, it was good. It started going good for me. And once I started doing those visuals, then I had a lot more people want to come on at the time. They're like, okay, like, oh, you doing visuals now? Like, oh, I want to be a guest. Like, I want to be seen too. People want to, you know.
people to see me just like they seeing you.
Yeah. So
you provided that platform for some
people. Yeah, which is dope too, just to have people come and showcase themselves and give their story and, you know, just shine a light on them.
Nice. And then, so do you feel like it changed anything about your brand, switching from audio to visual?
Yeah. I feel like people wanted to start seeing that content. Now people are looking now. You know, people that wasn't listening like that, but I mean, they were. That's crazy. I had a lot of like listens and downloads on my audio side, but once it came to the visuals, like people see who I am now, and that draws a different type of audience in. Yeah. You got the people that's just listening. That's people that type of do audio books and things like that. That's already their type of thing. But people are visual. They're like, I want to see what's going on. I'm gonna hear what she talk about, but I want to see too. So I feel like that kind of changed my audience too and put more light on it, because it's like, oh, who is that? Like, who is that doing the interviews? Oh, she's from Stockton, or she's doing this, she's doing that. Like, oh, I didn't know she did this. And so it brought more attention when I started doing the visual. And then
so that attention, how did that affect when you were out and about or roaming around Stockton or whatever the case may be?
That, I remember, I'll never forget, I was in the grocery store one day and I'm just, doing my shopping or whatever. And somebody walked up to me and they was like, you got the podcast, right? I'm like,
oh, they started noticing you.
Yeah. I'm like, I do, you know what I'm saying? So that was my first time. And I'm just like, yeah, that's me. And they like, oh man, it's dope. Like, I like it, and keep doing your thing. And people encourage me. Sometimes I need that encouragement. I know what I'm doing, but sometimes we can feel like things are going in vain until you get those words of encouragement and upliftment and things like that. So it's just like, okay, like I'm doing something right. Like that's all I want. I always said if I could just inspire one person or somebody just gives me like, some words of affirmation behind what I'm doing, then my purpose, I know this is my purpose.
Absolutely.
So.
Absolutely. That's dope. I like how all that came together for you. Do you feel like there's anybody that you did influence, and you don't have to say any names, do you feel like there's anybody that you did, whether it's directly, indirectly, that you gave motivation to kind of go on their journey?
Yeah, it's definitely a few people that I know that I've inspired and I've touched by, just doing me and doing my podcast, and, made them venture out to go and do their thing or go harder for their thing. Like, oh, she really actually, did the footwork, did the groundwork, did the research, and she's doing it, and so people are like, you know what? I'm about to go do my thing now. Like, I'm going to go harder at doing my thing. If I wasn't putting in my all, I'm putting in my all now. Absolutely. So for sure.
Absolutely. So now with your podcast, I know you described, we talked about it a little bit beforehand, that you create a safe space, for your podcast, right? Mm-hmm. What does that actually mean? How would you elaborate on that?
When you come on my show, I want you to feel comfortable. Mm-hmm. Sometimes the conversation can get suffocating. Like, okay, you know what? Like, oh, I don't know what to say, or the vibe isn't right. And I always want to curate a space where people feel safe to tell people something that they've never told before, let people in on the behind the scenes of their life, their story, their journey, and feel comfortable doing so. Yeah. Just because the vibe is created, the atmosphere is light, it's not heavy. And I do not take that lightly. I've had individuals come on and be like, oh, wow, like, I can't believe I said that, and that makes me feel, I get teary-eyed. It makes me feel good because I'm giving that energy. Like, I have that energy. It's not something that I'm trying to pressure them to do. They just feel like it flows.
You're letting them be vulnerable.
Yeah, to be vulnerable and share those intimate thoughts and stories in their life with me and with my audience as well. So
I love that. And so how would you balance, or how did you balance being honest and transparent, but also being responsible with being on camera and creating that safe space?
So that's something that I'm still like, now I feel like it's coming more to the forefront for me, because at first I was being honest, but I wasn't being transparent. Yeah. And it's the difference. Everybody knows Absolutely. That, like, it's a difference. If you don't know, it is a difference between being honest. I can be like, oh yeah, I did this, I did that. But just diving more deeper in depth with what I'm saying, giving more insight onto it. So I'm learning that now, and I'm demonstrating that now as well, and that I have that responsibility to myself, and I owe it to the listeners and people that's watching. Like, I'm giving all of me. Like, I kind of held back a little bit, and I'm like, you know what? Like, I really want people to know you know, what I'm going through or what I think about certain things or how my guests feel, like just let it all out. This is your opportunity. If you never let it out anywhere else, this is your space where you can do that. And so I know I definitely have that responsibility to myself, because I think back and, you know, once I started interviewing guests, I kind of dialed back a little bit, because it was just more about the guests and it wasn't about me. So me knowing that now, it's like, okay, I have that responsibility to myself, because I think back like, Quan, like when you started this as your personal diary. Yeah. You started this to let people in and spill out whatever you were thinking, those emotions that you held back, you're letting it out. Yeah. And so I had to think back. I had to remind myself. Sometimes you got to go back and remind yourself why you started this, why you started doing whatever you're doing, and your purpose. And if that's your purpose, you got to stay true and you got to remain transparent at all times. So just me going back and thinking about that on my why. Think about your why. If you don't have a why for what you're doing, that's not your purpose. You have to have your why. And so I thought about that, and that just brought me back to being open and more transparent.
I love that. And you had mentioned that there's a difference between being honest and transparent. I think that was interesting, because I just had a conversation earlier today with a friend of mine who kind of broke that down to me. Because for me, when I hear those two words, honesty and transparency, they go hand in hand, right? Mm-hmm. But at the end of the day, when you break them down, and, you know, she gave me a couple of different scenarios, it's very interesting that those are two different avenues, right? Yeah. And so I'm glad that you had brought that up and kind of said that. So when you do have those kind of moments and you're in a podcast with people, and especially because you mentioned that they say things that even surprise themselves, right? Do you ever carry like other people's emotional weight after the interview with what they may have unloaded on you or have talked about?
I feel like I'm an empath. So I definitely feel what other people feel already. So if they're sitting in the seat and, you know, they're going through something and they're talking about their story, it's kind of hard for me not to feel what they're feeling and what they're going through at that moment. Even when they're telling a story, even if they're over it and they're past it, it still weighs on me. Yeah. And just like, wow, you know, like just putting myself in that situation, those scenarios, and I'm like, wow, that's deep, or, you know, you overcame this, or even if it's a moment of joy, like I feel that excitement too, you know, just the energy is transferable. So I definitely feel it.
So you've created this safe space, you have guests on your podcast, and you allow them to be vulnerable and open up, and you hold that space for them. Yeah. My question to you is, who holds space for you?
I have a couple friends. Okay. I have a couple friends, and I say my circle is small. It's Cheerio. Okay. So, you know, absolutely. I got a couple friends, and they definitely hold space for me, and I appreciate them. I appreciate being able to have real conversations. Right. My fiance, he holds space for me as well, and it's because he is that mirror for me to know that I wasn't really being all the way real with myself, and things that I thought I worked on, that I was healing from. Yeah. I didn't really heal from it all the way until another situation came up that made me realize that I didn't. Gotcha. And just having those open and honest conversations with him, and him being open and honest with me, those people, they definitely hold space for me, and I appreciate them because it shines the light on me and what I still need to work on, and what I've grown from as well. So, yeah.
Okay. So now let's dive a little bit deeper, right? Because we also talked about how you embrace and you want to advocate and talk about Black culture on your podcast, right? And have those real conversations. Do you feel like a responsibility comes with that? And if so, what kind of responsibility?
I feel like anytime you feel like you need to speak on something, first of all, the light is on you. So if I decide to talk about politics, Black history, Black culture, they think I'm an expert now. So that kind of like holds a responsibility to me. Like, okay, well, she know exactly what she's talking about. She about to be very specific. She done did research. She done did this. Hey, man, I'm just talking about what I want to talk about. Mm-hmm. And that's the benefit of having your own platform. I can talk about whatever I want to talk about, you know? So I feel like sometimes it is a responsibility and a weight that comes with that, because they're going to expect that from you all the time now. Right. But it's like, you know what? I'm also making up that responsibility in my head, because it doesn't have to be that. Right. But I do feel a responsibility just because I am a Black woman that I need to talk about the culture. I need to talk about, like I just did the episode on people like the Black inventions and just highlighting our culture, because I'm Black and I'm proud to be Black. So I'm going to talk about my roots. I'm going to talk about how I feel about certain things. And it's
Black History Month.
And it's Black History Month too. So what's up? Like,
right, let them know, huh?
You know, I'm going to let it be known. So if I feel way about something, or if I'm proud to say something, that's because I'm proud to be Black and I'm proud to be a part of the culture.
I love that. I love that answer. That's perfect. Now, speaking of culture, what's a hard truth about our culture that people are scared to say or address or admit to? Because there's a lot going on in the world right now.
Yeah.
There always has been, of course, but there's a lot going on specifically in today's time. So things can get pretty sensitive, right? What would you say is a hard truth about our culture?
About the Black culture, we have to be more open to accepting everything from our culture. And that could just be meaning someone else's success. You need to be proud of their success and not trying to be the top, the number one. We can all win together. Right. Sometimes we get lost in the sauce and we try to be number one because we want to be the one that started. We want to be the trailblazer. We want to be, and some people are going to be trailblazers. Some people are not. But as long as you're being your authentic self, that's what should matter. Right. We can be a little judgmental as a culture sometimes, and that's a hard truth. But I feel like we all know it, and sometimes it goes silent. Yeah. But you got to be able to just let people be them without judgment, right, and without, critiquing them and saying little things. Oh, this was good, but this, or I would have did it like this, or
a little asterisk on it.
It's always something, you know what I mean? So just being able to let people thrive. We gotta let each other thrive and not just say it like, oh, well, I'm proud to be Black, I'm this, I'm that, and oh, good job. And behind the scenes, it's not really like that. You gotta be truthful, you gotta be honest. And if you feel like that, work on yourself.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? Why do I feel like this? Because I'm guarantee you it's something that happened in your past to why you feel like this is deep rooted. You know what I mean? Once you work on that, it's going to be all good.
Yeah, I think that's very important for you to have said, because like even myself, I'm early 30s. I just turned my early 30s, right? 31. And I'm starting to realize a lot of things about myself now. And as I sit with those thoughts and I think about it, I'm like, this happened when I was younger, and this is a similar feeling. I think this is why I don't like this scenario.
Yeah, right, you start tying it back.
Absolutely, but sometimes it gets uncomfortable because you have to sit with those truths that people like to avoid, especially people of our culture, because the stigmas of just having to be strong and there's nothing wrong with you, this, that, and third. So I'm very glad that you had brought that up. And you also had mentioned something about people critiquing, saying that they like it, but having an asterisk on the compliment. Now, have you ever received backlash for being too honest on your podcast, or for saying something where people just came out and flat out said, hey, I didn't like this, or why'd you say that, anything of that nature?
Nope. When I say, it's like, it's pretty much just out there, and I really don't, I know, so some people are, like I said, when I was younger, I was very, very outspoken, right, and I kind of shied away from that for a little bit. I'm stepping back into that, and so when I do say things, I know how to not overstep. Yeah. It's a difference. People just saying whatever and just, knowing it's going to bring backlash and hurt people's feelings and things like that. I don't do that. I'll say what I'm going to say, and people pretty much accept it, or I'll make them think about it. So I've been blessed to not have nobody come up to me and be like, why you say that? You should have did that. And, I ain't never been through that, thankfully.
So how about for yourself? Has there ever been a moment that you feel like you had to kind of check yourself or look in the mirror and reevaluate based on something that you said publicly or on your podcast?
Not on my podcast, but just like in life in general. Okay. I feel like I had to check myself a couple times, like, Shaquan, like, why you say that? Like, or you could have been a little less, out there with it. So I definitely had those moments in my personal life, and it's like, okay, but at the end of the day, I said what needed to be said. I said what I said, and I stand on it. If I see a need for something that needs to be said, I'm going to say, especially if it's going to help the person. Right. I'm never trying to harm nobody. I'm never trying to downplay nobody, make nobody feel bad about themselves. But if I see something and I can help you from what I'm going to say and how I feel, then I'm going to say it. And sometimes I'm going to be transparent. If you don't like it, you're not going to like it in that moment. But I've always had that moment where people come back and be like, you know what? You was right. So I'd be like, okay. And I'd be like, I don't take no harm to it. You know, you felt how you felt because you have to allow space for people to feel how they feel. And I learned that. That's something that I had to learn within the past couple of years. I can't control how people react. I cannot control what people are going to think based off of what I feel, what I say. If that's how they feel in that moment, I have to let them be free to feel that way and to say what they want to say. I might not like it, just like they might not like what I say. But at the end of the day, that's how you feel, and I want to always hold space for that. Before, I was defensive to when people gave me a rebuttal about something that I said, and I'm just like, well, no, like, well, I said this, so you shouldn't have nothing to say. Yeah. It's not that. People have feelings. People have their own thoughts. People are their own individuals. So if they come back and say something and they don't like what I said, I have to let that be. And if it ends the friendship or if it ends anything like that, then it wasn't meant to be. Absolutely. You're going to come back around, and if it's really meant to be, it's like, okay, you know what's going on? I overreacted. I just needed a couple minutes to cool off, or, you know, I didn't think about it this way. Now I thought about it this way after a few hours. And, you know, we're going to work through it. Absolutely. You know, that's when growth happens. So. Yeah.
So you could say that again. That's when growth happens. Sitting in that honesty, sitting in that truth.
You got to sit in it.
Absolutely. Yeah. Because sometimes it's a passing thought. Mm-hmm. And when you sit in it and you really evaluate and you think, that's when the growth happens, like you said. Yeah. Okay, so you're obviously not afraid to say what others are thinking or what you have to say. And I kind of asked this already in the sense of having backlash, but has there anything that has gotten you in trouble with speaking or with what you've said, not necessarily just podcasts, but again, in life?
You know what? Let's dive into this because... Let's dive into it because you know what? I used to hold back. Okay. And I say used to as in, I'm talking about as in early as last year. I was holding back a lot. I went from that outspoken little girl to holding back because I felt like people wouldn't understand what I'm saying, would judge me for what I'm saying, would look at me differently. And I would just be like, I'm going to just keep it to myself. I'll keep it to myself. Yeah. And that would cause for an outburst of emotions. It could be like a buildup, and somebody might just say the wrong thing to me one day and hurt my feelings, and all these tears come out from different situations. I would bottle things up. And so my fiance taught me, like, he really taught me this. I'm like, you always got something to say. You always saying something. Like, he say how he feel no matter what. And I'd be like, I couldn't take it because I couldn't dish it. Ooh. So it was just like, ooh, like, you mirroring what I used to be, and I'm not anymore. Like, it got caged up somehow. Yeah. That throat chakra got tied up. I couldn't speak. And I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna start speaking again. I'm gonna start letting out my truth again. And thankfully when I did, I didn't really receive no backlash. But that was something that I really, really had to work on because I used to just, like I said, just be outspoken. And I'm like, why am I not like no more? And I used to resent myself. Like, I couldn't blame nobody else but me because I was holding back. And the moment I start, just even saying small things, it started at work. I work a 9 to 5 as well. So it's like I audit people and I'm telling them what's wrong. And sometimes I would try to say it nicely and do this and don't hurt anybody's feelings. And I'm like, you know what? No, this is wrong. This is wrong. This needs to be fixed. Have it fixed when I come back, And it was just like, that was a practice for me. And so I started doing it in real life too. Like, okay, well, I don't like the way you're talking to me right now. Or actually, I'm not okay with that. And this is why I'm not okay with that. And start being expressive again. And I was scared how people will receive that. I said this before, a recovering people pleaser. I don't want to cause no commotion. I don't like confrontation at all. I'm not a confrontational person. And I just wanted everybody to have a nice day. Yeah. Even if it meant hurting my feelings and bottling things up inside of me. And I couldn't do that no more because it was hurting me more than helping me. So I really just had to sit back and be like, am I benefiting from this? Right. Everybody else sleeping good at night. I'm over here racking my brain. I should have said this. I really feel like this. I wasn't okay with that. And so I had to think about that. Like, no, it's time for me to be happy within myself, just in expressing myself and letting those feelings out. So once I started doing that, I really felt better, and I didn't receive that negative backlash that I thought I would have received when trying to be a people pleaser. I
love that. I love that you were able to kind of have that self-reflection, have that understanding, and make those changes because it kind of like lightens the load for you a little bit, right? And you don't have to worry about kind of that filtered sense of communication. It's that real raw, unfiltered, uncensored, hey, I'm going to give it to you exactly how I feel. And you can take it or leave it. You can deal with it, however. But I know I'm at peace because I said what I had to say. That's dope. And so Let me ask you, what's something that people assume about you that is completely wrong, if anything?
That I'm just a really like bubbly, outgoing person all the time.
Okay.
I'm not.
Because I get that vibe from you too. I'm just like, you're always so happy. You almost kind of remind me of my cousin. She has that same personality.
Yeah. I mean, I am.
Everybody has a different side of them.
Yeah, everybody got a different side. I mean, I am to an extent. Like I said, I'm an introvert. Like, people would think, like, I'm just extroverted. I'm just out doing this and doing that. And I really like to be at home. Like, if I'm not out working or, you know, doing something fun at that moment, like, I like to be in the comfort of my own home. I like to be alone.
Okay.
You know, and that could be like something that kind of hinders me a little bit at sometimes because I'd be like, I ain't got no friends like that, or they doing this, they doing that. Like, girl, go out with them. What are you doing? You at home. You chose to be at home.
Yeah.
So that is something that people assume about me, like, oh, you just always doing this, doing that. I'm like, I'm really not. Like, I really like I said, Self-Care Sunday.
Yeah.
That I love that.
Serious.
I really take that so serious. Like, I'm at home. I'm, you know, in the comfort of my own home, cleaning, watching maybe an old episode of Girlfriends or Insecure, kicking back, eating. You know, that's me. That is my vibe. Like, I'm very to myself, but I do know how to create space for others at the same time. Okay. So that's where that bubbliness and energetic side comes from. It's like, okay, I can vibe with you, I can rock with you, but you know, if you're not on that cool vibe that I can really kind of detect, I know that too. So, you know, that's like my little superpower.
And you had just said that one of your shows that you like to watch is Insecure, right?
God, I love Issa Rae.
And so I'm glad you said that, because that actually kind of ties into my next question. What insecurity do you still wrestle with, if at all, if anything? Especially with growing confidence over time and switching to the visual aspect of things. What insecurity do you still feel like you're battling with?
An insecurity would be, let's see, second guessing myself, just the confidence still a little bit.
Yeah.
Not believing all the way that I could do something. I'm like, oh, I know I can do it, but am I going to be good at it? Is it going to hit like this? Like, are people going to like it? Or, you know, so I would like second guess myself. But when I turn out to do something, it turns out good. I feel like insecurity, and it's not, I don't feel like it's an insecurity, it's just something I'm battling with right now, is anxiety. Okay. I feel like that developed over time with me holding back so much and keeping everything in, that it just created anxiety. Because I never really had anxiety growing up until my late 20s going into my 30s. And I'm just like, wait, what is this? Like, I went from being peaceful and calm and meditating to just having that feeling of anxiety. And I'm just like, and that's one reason I don't smoke anymore. I used to smoke, and I was like, I would get anxiety every time I smoked. And I'm just like, okay, like, I'm cool. Like, I put it down. Like, I'm okay. But just dealing with that and recognizing that, it makes it something that I can work on. I'm actively working on.
Absolutely. Yeah. So, you know, we've dived into a little bit more about the real unfiltered version of you, right? Yeah. And so, off camera, off podcast, would you consider yourself to be the same person? So, for example, if the podcast disappeared tomorrow, who would you be without it? I'll
be the same person. I feel like the podcast made me come more out of my show. It forced me to come out of my show. I had the responsibility to come out of my show, but I definitely still would be the same person. I still would be creative in some type of way, having those conversations and making people feel comfortable. Like I said, again, I feel like that's my superpower, just being relatable and being understanding and making people feel comfortable. Even before I started my podcast, people come up to me and say things to me and just talk to me in Walmart. I'm just like, okay, I don't know this lady from a can of paint, and she's just telling me her little life story. We
opening up,
talking on Aisle 15 for 30 minutes, and I'm just like, okay, you know. And so I feel like I will always carry that with or without the podcast. That's something that God has blessed me with. Okay,
I love that. And so, getting a little bit deeper into this discussion and the anxiety and things like that. And with also some of the topics on your podcast talking about healing, what do you feel like you've had to heal from?
I've had to heal from a lot of, taking it back to church, a lot of church hurt. I had to heal from that, just not feeling seen as a little girl in church, or just having those strict rules. I really didn't get to be myself, and that's probably part of the reason that outspokenness went away.
Yeah.
So I had to heal from that. I had to heal from just being angry all the time and working on that and doing that self-reflection. And that's why I started doing the meditation and really started getting more spiritual. Because I felt sometimes that I kind of strayed away, not to get too deep into, religion. I'm not religious anymore. I'm more spiritual, but I strayed away because I didn't feel that connection anymore.
Gotcha.
And that was because of the church hurt that I went through, just not being able to be myself because of all the rules and the restrictions. So just healing my relationship with God and going back to him on a personal relationship and not through church relationship. So healing from that. And just healing, because my mom had something to do with that too. So just healing family wounds too. I would say I'm still not too close to my family like that. We speak and I love them.
Yeah.
But I'm just not too fond of being like around them like that, and I'm a person, I speak when spoken to. I treat people how they treat me as well. So if I'm not getting that love or getting that genuine, like you care and things like that, then I kind of like fall back. I fall back quick. I will fall back. You like, she's still there? Like, I'm gone. Like, so, I'm real, like I said, I'm always to myself anyway. So sometimes it does still hurt, like when I see people that's like very family oriented and things like that, and I'm just like, dang, like I wish I had that with my family. But with my new family, like for my fiance, I feel like I'm gaining that, and it's helping heal that. Bringing around the aunties and the cousins, and y'all my family now too.
Family vibe.
Yeah, family vibe. And I'm like, oh wow, like this is what I wanted. This is what I was missing out on. So absolutely. I'm thankful for that. So that's helping me heal too.
I love that. So you got the podcast and your fiance and the family and all that's helping you heal. Yeah. Is there, what boundaries have you had to learn in order to kind of maintain that process of healing, and how do you protect your energy with that?
I protect my energy by not letting things get to me.
Okay.
I'm a Cancer. Very emotional. Okay. I am sensitive. I blame it on the zodiac. I'm like, okay, I'm super sensitive. So I had to learn to not let things get to me like I used to. Yeah. So I would react off of someone else's response or what they had to say, and I'm like, you know what? It's power in knowing when and when not. And so, and just having that mindset, like, you know what, like I said, I had to let people be them, express themselves, and not take it personal. Okay. So me doing that, like, that's a boundary I had to set within myself. Like, everything doesn't deserve a reaction. Right. Everything does not deserve a response. Like, it's okay. And if your energy isn't right when you're about to respond, leave it alone. Mm-hmm. Sometimes what I had to learn these past few months is, let me process.
Okay.
That's my word right now. Like, let me process that. I'm going to get back to you. Because if I respond in that moment, it might not come out how it's supposed to. And I don't never want anything to be received negatively. So I'm like, I'm processing. I'm going to come back to it. And then I'll circle back. And then I'm able to have a better communication with the situation or with the person. That's a boundary I'm set for myself. That's working positive right now.
I think that's something that a lot of people can learn from, right? Is taking that moment to think about what it is that they've consumed, whether it's, questions or just criticism of any sort. Sit with it for a second and process it and really think about how you feel, because your immediate response, you can get irritated, frustrated. But if you sit there and evaluate it, it's like, you know what? They might have just said something to me that I got to heed to that advice. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So I love that. So I love that you've done all this growth through your podcast and just life in general, right? So let's talk about moving forward for you, right? With your podcast, your vision and the legacy. What do you want QuaniTEA Radio to stand for long term, 5 years from now? Do you see this being like a media network? Like, what's your vision?
Okay, so the legacy I want to leave behind is for my son. I have a son, and I want him to see like, I wanted him to see his mom's growth in real time. And he could always go back and be like, I wonder what my mom was going through. Or, sometimes when you watch your parents grow up and we learn about the struggles afterwards, I want him to see it in real time and be able to go back to it and be in a platform that you can listen to, that you can go back and watch and be like, oh, wow, my mom did that. Or she was feeling like this and she made it through this. And so I always want to leave that for my son and allow him to know that he can express himself. Like I said, I had that silenced a little bit growing up, and I always hold that space for my son. So not only am I holding that space for other people, but I hold it for my son as well. I want him to be the most expressive young black man that he can be.
There you go.
They try to silence us all the time, and we're not heard, but I always want him to know that he is heard. As far as for my listeners and my viewers, I want them to always be inspired, whether it's by something that I said or one of my guests came on and said something inspirational, or not even said anything inspirational, or their story just inspired them in general. I always want them to be inspired. That is the goal of QuaniTEA Radio, and I could see it turning into a talk show, going out on red carpets, having those cooking segments on my show like I used to watch when I was growing up, and they bring the guests on and they going out and they going on different adventures and things like that. So I definitely could see it expanding into that and growing and traveling too, going on tours to do shows too in different cities, different states. I could definitely see that for myself, and that's what I will do.
That is so dope. So, and you mentioned your son. How does he feel? What's his take as far as you and this podcast journey and everything that you're doing, being in front of the camera, being out there like that? How does your son feel about it? Has he expressed anything, or is he excited to be on the show? Has he been on the show?
He's actually coming on the show for a Mother's Day interview.
I love that.
So
that is cool.
Yeah, I'm gonna bring him on for a Mother's Day episode. So this will be his first time on camera, and I'm so protective of my son. That's my baby. I don't care how old he gets.
Of course.
I don't care if he's 50. That's my baby. He's my only one. So it's just like I'd be like, okay, I don't put him on social media like that. I do here and there, but I'm very protective. So I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna bring him on for a Mother's Day episode, and we're gonna talk about it. And when he does see me, like, he knows what I do, and he'll come to the studio and be like, okay, my mom's working right now. He'll see me doing that. He be in his own little world though, on Roblox and playing the game and stuff like that.
Yeah, you know how it goes.
You already know.
Absolutely.
So they be in their own world, but once he see me like on YouTube, like, because YouTube is big with the kids. So it's like, I'm like, this, this is my video. He's like, that's you. Like, you
that's
really,
so cool.
you on YouTube. Like, okay, now he's like, oh, I want to inspire him he wants to be on YouTube.
Absolutely.
Doing some, some stuff, some content. And I was like, we can do that. We're going to be careful. We're going to be cautious. I'm very protective, like I said, but I'm open to that. Absolutely. I'm open to him, creating content on YouTube and stuff and being on things with me as well.
I love that, because we talked about you motivating other people and influencing other people. And I think that your son being motivated by the stuff that you do is probably the biggest person that, the most motivation that you can have, right? Yeah. That's the most impactful motivation that you can offer. So I'm really glad that he's, taking a liking to what you got going on and wanting to be involved with it. I'm excited to see that Mother's Day episode. That's going to be really dope. Really dope.
Shout out to my baby.
There you go. So let me ask you, what advice would you give someone that's afraid to start or getting started with a podcast, or what's a mistake that you would tell them to avoid?
Do your research, number one.
Okay.
Don't just jump into it because you see everybody doing podcasts right now. I would want them to have a purpose. What is your purpose behind it? What are you going to be talking about? Is this going to be something impactful? Is it something meaningful to you? Right. Can you see this lasting a long time? Or even if you don't end with podcasting, what is it going to turn into? Even if it's just as a starting point for you, what is it going to turn into that's still going to be impactful and meaningful to you, most importantly? Absolutely. But we're not going based off of what everybody else thinks. It's what you feel in your heart to why you're doing it that makes it impactful.
Keep it true and genuine.
Keep it true and genuine. Like I said, do your research. Avoid just following trends.
Absolutely.
Don't, I'm just going to do celebrity gossip because they're doing celebrity gossip. I'm going to do this. If you're not really into it, like I said, it has to be impactful and meaningful. And take it seriously. And network. I was not networking at first. It was just like, okay, if you share it, you share it, whatever. I wasn't really going up to people promoting myself. That's something that I didn't do. That's something that I just started doing last year. Gotcha. After 5 years, like I just started doing that. Like, hey, my name is Shaquan. And I have a podcast, by the way. So that's something you always want to promote yourself because you never know who you're going to run into, who wants to come on and have that great story for your podcast and that you can learn from, not just about a viral moment, but somebody you can learn from. Absolutely. That's what it's all about. So that's the advice that I have. And just make sure you're doing it for you, man. Just do it for you.
And so I like what you just said because you've had a lot of episodes. You've interviewed a lot of different people. I saw some of your episodes, like 23 Ways. I can't remember his actual name, but, the rapper here from Stockton, Unk the Hunk. You've had some of your friends on. So even with having all those interviews under your belt, if you could interview anyone dead or alive, who would it be and why?
Man. Ooh. Okay, I'm going to have to go with my fave. The first person that popped in my head was Chris Brown. Okay. And it's because... not just because I'm a fan or anything like that. It's just because he has a dope story. Absolutely. Just being the outcast after everything happened with him, Rihanna, things like that, and making people feel him like, no, I'm going to still shine. Like, I'm still going to come up. Even when y'all put me all the way down, I'm still going to show y'all why I am who I am. And I'm talented, and it's more than that. You know what I mean? Like, and he's just a dope-ass person in general. So, like, I would love to interview Chris Brown. So if you see this, Chris... holla at your girl. For real.
Get your shout out in. We're going to make sure we share that clip too, for sure. Okay, and so with, speaking of someone like Chris Brown, obviously he's like an impactful person in our culture in general, the music scene, all kind of different avenues, right? What does impact mean to you?
Impact is a lot. Impact is a responsibility. Okay. It's heavy. Because the way you impact somebody is an influence on their life and what they do. So you never want to impact nobody in the wrong way. Right. I want to be impactful in a positive way. I want people to be like, okay, like Shaquan, she said this and I started doing this and my life has turned around. I don't want nobody to be like, oh man, like I listened to her and I got the wrong advice or I feel like this now. And I want everybody to be uplifted. That's the impact I want on people. I want you to be uplifted. I want you to be inspired. I want you to feel a sense of relief after you have a conversation with me. Okay. That's what I want. Whether you're watching it, whether you're on the couch with me, just knowing me in general, like I want you to feel that sense of relief. I always want somebody to feel better than what they did before they came and talked to me.
That's dope. And so I love that you said that that's how you want people to feel after talking to you, right? Now, in terms of this interview, what do you want people to feel after watching this interview and kind of getting a different side of you and getting that inside scoop about who you actually are?
I want you to feel like, I didn't know that. Because I want to my goal now is to let people in on my life one piece at a time. Whatever I'm going through, whatever I really think, instead of just being honest, I want to be transparent. And I want you to take away, like, a little bit more of me. And like, you know what? Shaquan's cool. She all right. Just based off my transparency and everything that I say, all my actions, I want you to take away that a little bit more about me and that we're a little closer.
Absolutely. So. Okay, so last question before we wrap it up, okay? If you could send one message to your younger self, what would it be?
Just do it. Stop overthinking. Okay. Stop overthinking. Girl, you got this. Stop doubting yourself. Look at all the things in a positive light. And you are who you think you are, even when sometimes you don't think it. You are who you think you are and who you know yourself to be. And don't ever doubt yourself. Don't ever second guess yourself. And you are amazing.
I love that. Yeah. I love that. Okay, so platforms come and go, right? Yeah. Trends shift, but voices that move culture, they last. And so what you're building with QuaniTEA Radio is not just content, it's impact, right? So I'm glad that we were able to capture this chapter of your story. What I respect most is that you didn't just build a platform, you also built that space. The space for honesty, the space for culture, the space for healing. And that started with you being willing to show up as your full self for yourself. So again, I just want to tell you, I thank you for the time. I appreciate you having this conversation with us today and trusting me with this aspect of the interview and being vulnerable again. And I hope to recircle back and have another interview with you later down the road, because I'm sure you're going to continue to elevate and grow bigger. And once you have that media outlet, definitely want to double back and continue to document that growth for you, because again, this is a full circle moment and this is really dope. So thank you for your time tonight.
Thank you. Thank you for having me on. I'm happy to be a part of this. The interview is great. Like, you make me feel comfortable. So that's a big thing for me. I feel comfortable that I can really be myself, and you're holding space for me right now. So I appreciate that, and all your progress and everything. I see you, Black men.
Thank you. I really appreciate that. So that's it. That's all. We're going to wrap it up, get you out of here. This is QuaniTEA Radio, folks. Shaquan Howard. So everyone have a good night, and we're out of here.
New numbers, new area codes, new winters and new summers. More expansion, just thinking about it, it make me wonder. Knocking on the beat like a relapse, I feel it coming. Regular programming on schedule with the vibe. Infatuated with multiple ways to progress and thrive. And when the computer